It's 2023. No one does that anymore. No one reinvents the wheel and creates an in-company messaging system just for the employees.
There is definitely a lot of extra literature and science fiction regarding paperclip themed apocalypse scenarios.
The big difference between ideas and execution, as we know.
Trying to implement good communication support for gamers, it has led to good communication support for communities large.
Because Gmail hasn't changed in 3,000 years. So I don't think people saw much perspective on that being fun.
So not as grim as Minority Report, where you get sealed up or killed, but our fun's been on the same thing.
Paste a bunch of documents or paste a bunch of context to this secretary, and then it will just answer the holiday emails with more useful things than just talk to Laura.
Given infinite time,
Sure.
an engineer can deliver different sounds on alerts.
It's a fine line there between being useful and carrying you to a burnout.
You go to the board and you say Slack, but with a TikTok algorithm.
You can just build a button for you to press, Johnny, and just keep pressing it.
Expenses. Track your expenses.
Boring.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of Feature Creeps. I'm your host, Johnny, and here's your other host, João. How
Hello,
are you doing,
everyone.
João?
Welcome.
This is a show where two distinguished software engineers talk about software and apps, and also the show where we talk about where João is in the world. So where are we finding you this time, João?
I'm still in the same place as the last episode, so still in south of Brazil, somewhere in this beautiful island. So enjoying my last 2 days here before I go back to rainy London.
Yeah, if you're going to do back-to-back weeks anywhere, I do strongly recommend Floripa, one of the most beautiful and nice places in the world. And it's still quite summery, even though for UK weather, we're getting dangerously close to winter. Winter is coming, as some shows used to say.
Yeah, winter always comes earlier than expected in the UK.
Unless you are the House of Stark, you're always prepared for winter.
Exactly.
So today we're going to be talking about Slack, the in-company messaging tool that disrupted the industry, where instant message solutions in companies were not really popular, or if they were used, like Google Hangouts or whichever else, they were quite boring. Slack came in and with fast iteration started adding features and features with a cool design, started making it hip, kind of fun to use instant messaging. And it meant that you weren't stuck just answering company emails. You were now answering company DMs. It was a huge success and potentially led us to something like Discord, which is not an in-company solution, but it's an in-community solution. A very similar in some ways instant messaging app to Slack, but it's more about communities getting together. Slack as well does have a feature where some communities, like the Core Web Vitals community that I'm part of and Fast Web community, do organize in Slack. The Svelte community organized in Slack. Lots of communities organized in Slack as well, but Discord has taken over with that. Svelte has much bigger presence on Discord, for example. But João, I hear you have opinions on the matter as well, on why Slack was maybe necessary, what did it change, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think it's like the productivity app, as they said. Apart from in-company messaging system, it's also for organization efficiency, automations, and a sort of decentralized knowledge base and file sharing. So there's so much more to Slack that was added other than just communication. And communication is essential, and Slack's approach on this async world and work from anywhere that we live right now. So they focus on that, and it's obviously not going anywhere or actually going somewhere. Everyone working remotely elsewhere. So it's, the word is async, and Slack's there for companies and people to communicate. It disrupted the company, as you said, Johnny, and it changed the way that people interact within the company. And you can see 65 of the top 100 Fortune companies use Slack on the daily work communication. So it's heavily used and it's a powerful tool.
I was trying to dig in deep into my memories to see what other app was I using before Slack. It's one of those things of what was I doing before the internet? Like, did anything really happen then? And what I arrived at was probably Google Hangouts, which I used in another company in Manchester. And then I think it was just email, and everyone had each other's phone and text and that sort of thing, which is quite dangerous. Do you remember any other apps before Slack came about and changed that aspect of our business lives?
Yeah, I think I was using a lot of Skype, and I think back then companies were more worried about privacy. So they would have their own messaging system internal and not carrying the cloud. And like before using Skype, I think I used a lot of internal systems for communication. And yeah, that's very interesting how we don't even remember what's the pre-Slack word looks like.
Yeah, I know some big companies that really care about that sort of privacy stuff. They don't pay to have a private instance of Slack or something else. They do create their own version of Slack, like TikTok uses something called Lark, for example. But it is a matter of you have the money and the resource to spend, not in the thing that makes your company popular and unique and a success. So not in more TikTok features, but in better company management and productivity issues. So instead of Slack, we'll make our own Slack. But that's resource you are taking from something else you'd have on your app. So it's hard to sell to stakeholders nowadays to say we need to reinvent the wheel in communications and we'll have our own in-company messaging solution.
Yeah, it's 2023. No one does that anymore. No one reinvents the wheel and creates an in-company messaging system just for the employees, unless you're Slack, unless it's your business, unless you're as big as Meta maybe, or you use your own systems to kind of power your internal messaging system as they do. And I guess Microsoft Teams, which the word on the street is that it's the biggest rival of Slack in the market. And they also do allow you to deploy your own instance and deal with your privacy concerns in there.
Which is interesting how you said the Skype, which was also bought out by Microsoft. And now the new thing is something that Microsoft is also making. The big companies do like absorbing the tools that are massively popular and then fine tuning them for themselves and making them even more popular or selling them or upselling them to companies for sure.
Interesting enough, Slack was acquired by Salesforce recently.
Wherever we go in the world, we see a Salesforce huge building with like 1 million floors across the street.
Yeah. And I think Salesforce is probably not going to change Slack much in the next few years. Slack's going to continue as is, but Slack does have a lot of focus on sales and those features like Slack Connect, where you can connect multiple companies and deal with customer success and sales and connect the two a business there is quite powerful. And I think Salesforce saw the potential in that for many reasons. And then they bought it.
So before it got acquired with Salesforce, because before Slack became the giant that it is already, this show is called Feature Creeps, and we're going to be talking about the features that we'll be adding to Slack. But first, can we try to say what was the original MVP for Slack and what were the original feature creeps that made it maybe a bit later to launch, but potentially helped into its success? Do you have an idea about that?
Do you have anything there?
I think core must have been, I want to escape email. I hate emails. I don't want to answer my emails anymore. So I want email to be more fun. And for that, the core features would be instant messaging with file attachments. If we can do those two things, potentially we can replace email and never check our email or check our email once a day and everything else we do through Slack. So instant messaging, definitely core feature, and potential creep, maybe, I don't know, make it for more fun some ways. I don't know what the initial feature would have been, the fun feature, maybe the typing indicator or something like that. But the file upload potentially could have been a feature creep. But I think it's so integral that maybe it was like core, like we really need to release with text messaging and file attachments.
Yeah, I think one feature creep is potentially the personalization of colors on Slack. And it also, if you search like what are some of the key features of Slack that are powerful in a way, is just the way you personalize your colors. It's one of them, as they said. And they have themes like Spotify theme and Skype theme, if you still miss Skype. So I think that may have been someone that's been deep in the internet in the 90s and early 2000s where theme customization was so much fun.
But I understand the theme. Is the theme customization only the colors or does it change your sounds as well? So if there was an ICQ theme, does it give you the message notification, which would bring a lot of nostalgia out of me for sure.
I believe that could be possible.
Given infinite time,
sure.
an engineer can deliver different sounds and alerts.
Yeah, everything is possible.
So design is potentially now a top feature. What is your top feature for Slack?
I think I have one selfish top feature and one feature that I think is good in general for everyone. The one that I use the most on Slack is save messages for later. It's save messages to read later, a to-do list that I think they introduced a few years back. And that changed the way I work because Slack is convoluted sometimes. It has too many messages. You have too many things you go through, too many channels. And it allows you to organize them and have the right notifications in the right channels. But mostly you won't read all of them, even the important ones. And if there is anything interesting or if anyone shares a message, you just go forward and check it out. But with the feature where you can save for later and have like this little list of messages to go through, you can organize your day in a way that you are focused on something important. You see a message on Slack and then you can prioritize them for another time where you can block your calendar and just go through your messages. That's normally what I would do for productivity and not let Slack control my time.
Yeah, I get it now. It's about reading. I too like to scan Slack and have a check a lot of some things, have some insight in a few things, but mostly just skim through and see what's happened. And then once in a while, you come across a message that you do want to action at some point, but not now, because now you are in skimming mode and let's see what's happened. So you save it for later, for in your own time to read it more thoroughly and understand what's going on and potentially reply. Correct?
Perfect. That's it. And how about you, Jenny? What's your top feature?
So my top feature is multi-device support. You may remember this the first time you install Slack or the Slack workspace when you go in a new company or enter a new Slack. It will persist into giving you emails every time you miss a message. So if you're not on the Slack desktop app and you get a message, then you get email. And then it will tell you, if you don't like those emails, I'll Slack on your mobile phone, and then you'll get those notifications as push notifications there. And you're like, I hate email. I'm using Slack to avoid email. So let's do that. And it forces you in that ingenious way to install the Slack app. And once you have it on, it's actually really good. So the multi-device support is awesome. If I'm on my desktop and I get a message, nothing rings on my phone, everything's nice and quiet. But if I put my desktop on sleep mode and go to make coffee or whatever, and something important actually happens and someone DMs me, then I get it on my phone saying that there is a failing test or a production is breaking or everything's on fire. So I make my coffee still, but in a further rush to go back and save the day. I think that's how they managed to integrate the mobile and the desktop is very cool and tricky, especially when that started happening. It's a bit of a solved problem maybe nowadays, but back then I think they were pioneers in having a seamless integration with mobile phones.
Yeah, I agree. That's a pretty good feature, especially in combination with being able to configure your notifications on like what do you want to receive as a push notification? What do you want to receive just as a badge in your Slack app? But at the same time, I know people abuse Slack on the phone and it's a burnout trigger for sure. And people that are workaholics and having Slack on their personal phone and they're traveling, they're on holiday, and they would check Slack or they would receive notifications from Slack. So it's a fine line there between being useful and carrying you to a burnout.
There is definitely a lot of material in Slack etiquette. We have a friend and colleague who once made a great presentation on Slack etiquette. When you should adhere and channel, when should you not, things that you can prefix your messages with. This great colleague that told me that if I put a turtle in front, it's like a slow response time. Take your time, just read it in your own time. If I put like a lightning bolt, then it means that this needs action immediately. So even if you receive the notification, you get the hint. But of course, it's on you to manage to make that communication be asynchronous and not, oh my God, I got a notification, I need to get on it immediately. It's quite easy to fall in the slippery slope of overworking and burn yourself out when everything work-related is on your phone.
Yeah. And that's one of the drawbacks of Slack, I would say.
What another feature that you like?
Yeah. And this is the least selfish one compared to the other one that I mentioned. It's more about being able to integrate with Slack. I think that's a great feature they have. Being able to create apps. Like we did that before, Jenny. We created apps for Slack and it's like Slack bots. And that it's a powerful thing that they enable people to do. So you can create bots to automate your work, automate your workflow, get a hold of Jira tickets and get hold of any of the tools you use for your daily workflow. So I think that's pretty powerful and allowing people to create and sell and allowing this universe of apps to work as many other products would do. But I think developing apps for Slack is pretty easy. And the process of being accepted and all this process was definitely smoother than other products that I've seen. So I think that's my top 2 feature.
100%. That's also my top 2 feature. I can't imagine Slack without the integrations. It's been a huge success because of the integrations that have been easy to do. And then after Slack became popular and big, then companies really wanted to get into the Slack action as well and get some market value by having a great Slack bot. So we can see Trello being in there and Jira as well, which is the same thing nowadays. But anything that can help with automation really helps with productivity, really makes Slack a productivity helper and a productivity booster tool. So that's definitely a top feature for Slack. I don't know if you have out of your mind a favorite Slack bot integration. My least favorite for sure would be the one that is connected to like Sentry or whichever error tracking tool you may be using. And then it's saying, oh, some user tried to access dot undefined. And then you're like, what's happening here?
Yeah, I think those alerts that we never care and we just ignore, those are the worst.
Yeah, for some people, that's like integral to having your company. Like, let's set up the Slack bot for the errors and we can monitor production. It's always going to be 100% good. We'll be on top of things. But in reality, you just put it in a Slack channel that nobody ever listens to, just mutes. And you're in the same position. You're stunned by the noise.
Yeah, but I think that is one of the beauties of Slack, to be honest. It's a place to plan things out. Maybe Skype was like that as well. So a lot of the times you, as an action from a meeting, you'd say, oh, let's create a Slack channel and discuss that in there. But perhaps that channel won't get traction or you would get just a few messages and things like that. But that it's a good indication that topic wasn't that important. You can relate a lot with the features in there if you are in an agile company versus a bigger enterprise. You have some other things that are very useful for enterprise.
Yeah, that was definitely the trend and still is as well in the startups that made Slack too. So I'm sure that was a North Star. Help reinforce Agile or implement Agile or your version of Agile a bit better.
Yeah, I agree.
Which potentially what the Jira Cloud integration may also want to do, like it creates your tickets or sees an open ticket and then it tells you that, oh, it was moved to done or in review in QR. You don't have to tell your product manager something's in production. Potentially they can see that the ticket was moved to in production and then they can check it out or call the CTO or the CEO and say, we did it. We've launched immediately without you having to tell them anything.
Yeah, it's almost a feature creep, I'd say that one, Jenny.
Almost. Any other top features, top 3 feature for Slack for you?
Yeah, third one, I'd say Slack Huddles. I don't know if you used Huddles before.
So that's like a voice messaging channel that you've put 10 people in there and you can talk.
Yeah, exactly. You can go into a Huddle of any channel or any private messaging channel, I'd say like to anyone directly. You just enter the Huddle and there is a presence indicator in the toolbar in the channel saying that someone is in there available and it's there probably in video or just in voice. So that presence indicator is great because it's showing people that, oh, someone is available to talk about this specific topic that this channel is about. So let's say you have a channel with engineers or a channel for like pair programming. Someone would come in and just go in there and start working. And then someone could come in and out at any point and see who is in the channel huddling. If you have a channel with like PMs or a channel with designers and that designer is there available, you can see the presence indicator there and people could come in and ask questions about design. That's the topic of the channel. I don't know what's the origin of this feature. I couldn't find much of where does it come from, but there's a bit of a disruption, especially for our work journey as engineers and people that value pair programming and sync communication to make decisions or even to just get on with work is quite powerful.
Yeah, I've used it exactly as you said for pair programming, a channel where if I'm available, I'd go there, watch me code or pair program type of channel. And sometimes people would drop in I'm not sure if it was better than when I did it with just a Google Meet, like a calendar invite, have a calendar slot and say, all right, I will be coding from this to this, and then give a heads up on the channel that I'll probably be tackling this issue or this ticket or learn about this or doing whatever else. And then people can kind of in advance plan to drop in and watch me code on a subject. But sometimes you just feel like coding and trying to get someone random to pair with you or watch you code and bounce ideas off. So for that impromptu nature, Huddles was a bit better, but you always get more attendance and say, all right, it's a slot in my calendar and it's always going to happen at that time. For day-to-day work, for sure, it's much better to have the Huddle because you don't want to put meetings that, we'll work together on this all the time. But for something recurring like principal engineer pair programs with you, I felt maybe it was a bit better to do it through the calendar.
Yeah, I agree. If you're in the flow, or if you have like this nice workflow with your team, I think Huddle works quite well. Because when if someone's in the Huddle, you can have it immediately, just one click, you be in the Huddle and you ask the question and that's it. So if you create nice workflows around it, it's pretty powerful tool in the async world, right? We're just talking about remote working here and
Yeah,
how it solves for that.
it's a bit of the equivalent of the analog world where you'd have the open office when we had offices and not actually open office. The open door policy. If it's open, you can come in and you can disturb me or ask me questions or anything else. In the open office world, if I don't have my headphones on, the noise canceling ones, then you can also approach me and then you can see what we're doing here, what we're up to, and I can answer your questions.
Yeah. We had a colleague that also had post-its that you put on his back, just like, you can disturb me or not disturb me. I guess this is old-fashioned Huddles.
Yeah, old fashioned, like do not disturb status symbol was a post-it that was saying now doing work.
Yeah, exactly. How about you, Jenny? What's your third feature there?
So you mentioned it before, like not giving it too much credence, but I do love the themes. I think top 3 feature is the themes, maybe even more than the integrations, although that's like sacrilegious. I'm not sure. Like I'm going back and forth on this. I do think the themes making Slack more personalized and more fun was key to people being so eager to replace email with Slack or Google Hangouts or Microsoft Teams or whatever else with Slack because it looked more fun, like more lightweight, more personal. So I think it did play a part into Slack being a success. And I can understand how they keep iterating and adding themes and making them like you can have smaller icons or bigger icons, different color icons, dark mode, light mode. You can have some channels being visible if you don't have unread. I do count those type of features as part of the theming customization aspect. I think that was key into Slack being a success. Although I'm not sure if it's even more key than the integrations. Probably not. But if I wake up tomorrow, maybe I will think that, yeah, I think it wouldn't have gone anywhere if it was just like Gmail in the end.
Yeah, you're right. It showed people perspective of this is a fun app that you can use at work. Great.
Yeah.
Finally, one, because Gmail hasn't changed in 3,000 years. So I don't think people saw much perspective on that being fun.
And you can tie it in into the integration with slash Giphy. I think it's the same type of, what do you call it? Whimsy, where you can slash Giphy and then you put in a GIF, like or GIF if you prefer that pronunciation, like a funny GIF of what just happened. That would never happen in like a company email thread that may get you reprimanded or even fired. But in Slack, reactions like that are usually approved and make people laugh. And I think it's a sign of how that whimsy made it's fun in the workplace when using this app that also increases your productivity, that made Slack a success.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I can see why they highlight that in the website's key feature, personalization of UI, for sure.
But yeah, that's it for our top 3. Do you want to hit anyone in particular and one of the ones we didn't talk about?
I think I do want a hit one, which is the reactions.
Oh yeah, of course,
Slack.
reactions.
I think it's important to mention that. I don't know who introduced that and if they copied from someone, but that is an amazing tool for productivity. Instead of you typing how you feel about that specific sentence or text or file, you can just react and people will see what's your reaction or how you feel about it. And that makes work a bit more humane as well. People can show some love, show some like concern, or essentially be humans at work. I think I like the reaction aspect a lot. And I
Yeah,
would move up my list, I think.
that's a great point, especially since Slack initially didn't have threads. And it did have reactions. If it didn't have reactions, then you wouldn't be able to follow any channel because someone would say something and then someone else would say yes, someone else would say I agree, someone yet another one would say no, I don't agree, and you get lost in the noise of that one message that led to 100 other messages. Without threading, you'd need to read all of them. But with reactions, you can just see, oh, it has 10 thumbs up and 2 thumbs down and 3 heart symbols and 5 party parrots or whatever else. That's great for being able to filter the information that you don't really want to see expanded on in its own message and getting the data of how that message landed. Although I do know that we have a few colleagues that got a bit bumped sometimes when they didn't get any much traction from their messages. And for good manners, you need to show them support, give them a thumbs up or hearts or whatever else. So it ties into the workaholic, like burnout management that it may lead to.
Yeah, absolutely. Like what Instagram did a few months back, where they allowed people to not show how many likes they were having in the picture because this would cause anxiety to some people. So that I think that the reactions on Slack also cause anxiety in a lot of people. So it can be a problem.
Mentioning Instagram, though, I am sure the success of reactions has led to Instagram allowing reactions to DMs. I'm sure it has led to GitHub now having reactions to messages in issues. I'm sure it has led lots of other companies incorporating the reaction system. And like you, I don't know if it was Slack that originated this, but like 100% it was the popularizer of the reactions in a message. And of course, we haven't talked about Discord a lot, but it feels like all of the features that we've mentioned so far do apply for Discord, even though it wasn't an in-company messaging solution. For the in-community messaging, it has a lot of the same things. Reactions are a big thing. GIFs integration and bot integration and any sort of integration is a huge thing with Discord. Being able to customize when you get alerts or not, which groups you're in, which servers you can see is huge with Discord. So it has managed to quite closely follow along what Slack is doing, even though I'm sure they weren't necessarily saying, let's copy what Slack is doing. Sometimes when you're trying to think, how can people work together and communities come together, you arrive to a very similar feature set.
Yeah, indeed. And also Discord is way more focused in communities. Although it's used in companies, it's used a lot in schools. I think it had its traction on the gaming community and NFT community and all that. So Discord has a different look and feel, I would say, to what Slack is. And it's more on the budget side compared to Slack.
Yeah, if I had to guess at their MVP initially, it would have been we need to solve cross-platform game communications or in-game communications, because lots of games, especially 10 years ago or however long, they didn't have a nice voice system to organize with your friends and talk with your friends. And if you manage to get 5 people together to play LOL or Defense of the Essence, Dota, or whichever other game, and you were on your own Discord server chatting with each other, that was a huge differentiator. If you had good voice communications with your team, you're able to collaborate and win together. So what you want to do in a company when you're trying to deliver a feature and make a successful company, but to win a game. So its roots were in gaming, but trying to implement good communication support for gamers, it has led to good communication support for communities at large. And even now, they are offering even more tools for creators even to sell their own stuff and insane integrations that you'd never think by seeing the original mission, which I do believe was make good communications between gamers in games.
Yeah. And I think with the focus on that, they actually made the video and audio call better in a way. Myself, I can't notice the difference that much, but working at Spotify and people that do care a lot about audio and the quality of lossless audio and things like that, we tested a bunch of features because they weren't happy with the video calls on Slack. They weren't happy with the video calls in Google Meet. And I think Discord was one of the best things that we tried. Zoom was also pretty good, but those details also must make a difference in the gaming interaction and many other communities. at
Within the
Discord.
games, the bar is much, much lower because if you go to any Nintendo game that offers some multiplayer support, the quality of the text messaging and voice messages, if they have it, is horrible. So I'm not able to tell between Google Meet quality and Discord quality audio, maybe, but I am able to tell about most in-game solutions versus Discord. So that was the big thing, what made them so great and pop out of the rest. And even today, they do lead the way with noise canceling and voice boosting and that sort of thing, which are features that are creeping their way into the more successful solutions like Google Meet, but not to video games because the video game developers already have too many things to worry about and trying to get live than to really crack the audio system.
Yeah. And that's particularly disruptive because games would have to create their own messaging system. And if you are a more independent gaming, you can now rely on Discord to do your communications and then you just focus on the gaming. Again, not having to reinvent the wheel that way.
And there are some games that would never want to do a voice channel because they don't do competitive multiplayer or multiplayer at all, but still could benefit if I was playing this game and want to talk to my friend or my other friends and say, oh, I'm in this section and I'm doing this, and try to live vicariously together and explain the game, just have a joint game experience like you would watch in a movie, for example. Discord makes this possible, so the game developer would never need that feature. It's not in the game, but sometimes you just want to chat about video games with your friends while you're playing a game or discuss strategies. And maybe Discord is also now a Reddit alternative, like a sub-community, subreddit alternative where lots of people that care about Formula One, oh, there is a Formula One Discord that someone maintains, and boxing and NBA or football or anything else, you'll find a Discord channel that, especially with Reddit's maybe downfall or controversy at the very least, Discord communities are becoming the next big thing. Maybe my nephew would know more about this because he's of a younger generation than I. But that's the feeling I get, that Discord communities are like the new thing to be into.
Funny enough, my dad uses Discord at work, and I don't. A bit different that way. Yeah, but I'm glad we're talking about Discord in a way because it's a massive competitor, but also a complementary tool to what Slack is. But the presence indicator, as we are saying, like the Slack Huddles is a good feature. The presence indicator is great on Discord as well. You see if you're part of a channel or community, you see who's online and on a call or who's gaming and things like that. So I think they have like quite powerful alternatives to that.
And both of them have raised awareness to some things that are hard to raise awareness for specifically, like in a very subtle way. For example, the pronouns, being able to declare your pronouns in Slack or Discord, that made it more of a thing, that made people more aware that, oh, this is happening. I do believe that it had a measurable impact in people being more accepting and knowledgeable about gender pronouns, for example. And in general, there are other features that you can put in your Slack profile or your Discord profile as well. And it's a nice way, a subtle way to make people more inclusive, I suppose, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I agree. And also Slack has a way for you to record your name pronunciation, and you can add the short bio and things like that. So I think there are good tools for diversity. Maybe there's more that can be.
It's quite interesting because I know throughout your life, you've been frustrated with how people say your name, João. It's quite tricky for non-Portuguese speakers to say. But on the other hand, my surname is very hard for people to pronounce. Even I don't pronounce it correctly anymore. So quite often in Slack, people would ask me, how do you pronounce your last name? And then you can make a recording and say, this is ready for you. I don't need to do a voice message.
Yeah, that is a good feature for sure.
All right. I think having covered top features, and do we want to talk about other famous Slack alternatives? Do we want to go deeper into Discord or even Skype, which you mentioned before? And I think I've used it a little bit for work, but not really. To me, Skype has always been a friendly communication tool, like ICQ, which I've mentioned before.
Yeah, I think mostly in my life, I used Skype to talk to my parents abroad.
International calls, yeah, that was a huge thing.
Yeah, but I used the work once when I was working in Germany, and we had people working async with us. from other countries before was cool. And that was 2012. So the problem with talking about this alternative is just so long ago. I don't remember what were the cool features of Skype that I was using, but it definitely had its value on the disruption of in-company communication for sure.
Sure. Anything particular about Microsoft Teams that we know about that we want to talk about? I've briefly used it in a few companies, but it just felt like I didn't go deep into the features that it has. So I think we can safely move along into feature creeping.
Yeah, let's do this.
It is a very hard one, not just to start, but to say anything, because with the integration, in theory, anything you can think of, you can build it. So if you want the ChatGPT support, you can build it in, and Slack is going to integrate it if it's going to be successful. So it's very hard to think of a different feature to add.
I thought exactly that. Any feature creep we do here probably either already exists as an app. It's not going to be like an innovative feature creep, or it can be done easily as an external app. So we wouldn't be feature creeping for Slack engineers here to listen to this podcast and go on and build something. So I don't know, but maybe we can try.
Yeah. So for the Huddle feature or for any other meeting feature, I would love a first party integration with a Summariser tool, or maybe on the fly. The Huddle is on, these persons are in, and maybe it understands from what you're doing and what your screen saying are in and what you're saying, and can derive a summary. So you can see Huddle is on, Johnny is in, and he's doing coding, or he's tackling this Jira issue, or he's doing something else, without me having to update the Huddle is about this, without knowing that this Huddle is in the pair programming channel, so it's going to be a pair programming Huddle. Something that automatically summarizes what I'm doing in the moment, what's happening in the Huddle. And then that gives you more information on whether you want to join in on the Huddle.
Yeah, that's a good one. I think that would have to be something that people allow you to summarize this, because it could be a hurdle. You're talking about your boss or something.
Like Mario's proposal by Johnny, a romantic moment between two colleagues.
Exactly. But yeah, I like it.
So I guess just the screens that you're sharing, like if you're doing a screen share, it could say they are in this program. Discord has this, so your status can be playing Baldur's Gate or doing this or recording in Final Cut Pro. It can integrate with stuff you're doing in your desktop or your game console and say that you're doing this. So maybe something like that for Slack, that, oh, he's on the terminal or he's pair programming. Although this has the creepiness factor of, do we really want to see if Johnny is making coffee or if he's on the terminal, or why is he on the terminal for so long? We know that he does everything with VS Code and mostly he just presses tab and auto completes everything. So why is he not there? Why is he not pressing tab enough?
That's very intriguing. That's intriguing enough for people to join. It's like, what the hell is Johnny doing in the terminal? Let's join the Huddle.
And then you see it's like the Matrix scene where you just see green symbols all around you. You don't understand what's happening.
While he drinks his coffee.
So on the Summariser train, I would also say sometimes you haven't been in a channel for a long time and you see there's like 500 messages that have gone. And you can click and go to the top, the first 100 messages that you've missed, and then go through the timeline. But sometimes you don't want to do that. So maybe Slack can do a summary of 500 messages, mostly about this, or on those three things, bam. And you can see if you can ignore it and move along with your life and see the rest of the messages, or dive into the ones that seemed more important to you.
Yeah, that could be one as well.
All right, I'll put you on the spot. Do you want to give a try?
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to search here in the app directory and say, oh, that's already a bot or anything like that. But try to say something that could be a first-class Slack feature.
Yeah, I thought of a couple, I think. But it's hard to say. It's just fun and probably not going to happen. I like those feature creeps that probably shouldn't happen that way. But I call it Lovability Report. You know how we talked about reactions and how people like count their reaction, like how much love they received from it, and how many likes and how many bunnies they received on it. And in a sense where you get a report on the things you posted more publicly, in a way that compared to each other, to the things that you posted, not comparing to others, how they performed in reactions, because it can give you some insights on like the time of the day that you should send a message to get the impact that you want, and the wording that you had in different messages. So you get the impact and the lovable impacts that you wanted from your message. It's like a user research
Engagement report.
analytics ticks for your own messages. If you care about that, maybe that's something that would be useful.
Would it tell me like specific people, like the CEO did read this message because maybe you care more about this than more people in the company. You want the key stakeholders in the company to read your messages and love them than is necessarily to have everyone in the company read your messages and love them.
Yeah. And also it's a great feature to create toxic relationships. Like, oh, Johnny never liked your message, but he liked Michael's message. Here's a report.
Sadly, it was the one that was saying, I'm resigning and the next week I'll be out.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
no,
I do like that. I keep coming back into the summary solution. Like if it could tell me the actions I could take, like you posted these messages and this percentage of them were positive, negative. These are a sample of your more positive ones, but let's do something different. It could analyze your language and have you use more inclusive language. For example, there is some controversy that I heard about recently about, hey guys, of a lot of people say, hey guys is very masculine and you should say, hey y'all, or something like that. Other people say, we just don't have in English that type of plural you. So, hey guys has won and just use that. But in any case, whether that's valid advice or not, I would like for Slack to give me some valid advice on how I can improve my speech to be more inclusive, more grammatically correct, even like fewer spelling errors, some things that are like filler words, like, which I just used just now. It could tell me something to improve how I write and how I message.
yeah, that's pretty good. I think the inclusivity part could be very powerful. Show you alternatives, showing like this message you may be unconsciously writing and you're not being inclusive enough with saying, hey guys, and it shows you alternatives like, oh, maybe you could use hey people here or hey team,
Yeah,
like
Clippy,
examples like that.
like Clippy popping up as an assistant telling you, you may be mansplaining here. You may want to chill a little bit. You may want to rephrase this a bit more.
Yeah, Microsoft biggest feature creep.
I guess that would be easy for Microsoft Teams to add and maybe less easy for Slack to add.
You think it'd be easier to Microsoft Teams to integrate Clippy
Yeah,
code?
because it's Microsoft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That must be like a very good written code to integrate with nowadays architecture. That must be hell.
At the same time, I do think that the same code, you could have a company say, this is your AI assistant and get $1 million valuation at least. The same exact code. All it does is understand whether you're trying to write a letter because it looks, if you're starting with greetings to everyone or hello or something like that. And then it says, oh, would you like help formatting the letter? So very fundamental, very rudimentary algorithms that say, oh, they're doing this, they're doing that. And I pretend that I know what they're doing and give them suggestions. I think the same code you can use today and you can say, oh, it's using AI and it's an AI assistant and be dramatically more well received. Well, at the time, of course, it was a bit laughed at.
Yeah. Going a bit on a tangent, but not so much. Imagine if Clippy is the first artificial general intelligence that we create. Actually, Microsoft decides that they had it, but the way that they want to release is through Clippy.
Yeah.
That would be just such a story.
It's funny because there is a clicker game, like a paperclip simulator or something like that, where you're supposed to keep making paper clips and selling them. And just an idle game. Every so often you collect your paper clips, you sell them, you make more, but you keep automating the process. You keep making other machines to make your paper clips so you can sell more, stock management solutions. You keep adding, but it has a twist eventually because the AI kind of takes over the word. Spoiler alert. But yeah, there is definitely a lot of extra literature and science fiction regarding paperclip themed apocalypse scenarios, like the one you're suggesting now with Clippy becoming omnipresent and powerful with AI.
That's fun. I didn't know that, but yeah.
All right. Do you have any other punts, any other attempts for feature creeping Slack and Discord and all of that?
Yeah, I have the classic Slack, but like
Oh,
that we have in some episodes. It's an algorithm word right now. People want to see based on the things they previously liked or read or seen, watched, any of that. So people want to see content based on content they've previously seen or interests they have. So TikTok delivered that algorithmic word quite well to people. And why not having a part of Slack, like the read later part that I said is a great feature of Slack, that you can save messages for you to analyze and read later and reply later, but also a part where it shows you potential messages that will be missing out, but they are made for you.
Yeah, I
to
get
see.
it. So based on how you reacted or how many times you've replied or how long you've been focusing on a message, then it will tell you this similar message, you may be interested as well. It's in a channel that you're not in, but maybe you want to read it, or it's something that you dismissed or you've muted or whatever, but you want to see it anyway. Yeah, I like that.
I think that's something that Slack can build better than apps, external apps. And potentially, if engineers of Slack are listening to this, is your way.
Slack does give you recommendations of maybe you want to enter this channel every so often, or maybe you want to leave this channel because you never engage. So it doesn't seem like that big of a leap from suggesting you may want this channel or you may not want this channel anymore to be able to pull specific messages and say, oh, you may want to read this message now.
The official Slack bot, the one that you can dump messages and normally use to like try and create, it does send you messages from time to say, oh, maybe you want to join this channel or leave this channel. So there's already something there that tries to clean up things for you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
it'll be
That's
helpful.
what I meant. They put it inside the personality of the Slack bot to tell you
Yeah.
you may want this channel or
Mm.
not. But the effect is the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Speaking of drafts, I really wanted to say earlier when you said about the mark as a to-do functionality, I thought that you were going to say about how you can go into the input of any message. So I go to my DM to you, my DM to someone else, public message to a channel, and I can actually type out what I want to say, but I can leave it on and then it remembers what I've drafted there and it will show me that I have a draft like that. And very often I would keep that on and only send it at an appropriate time or a time I thought is appropriate, or revisit it later in the day, finish it and actually send it then. And I think since then they've managed to elaborate on their draft support, as you said. So that's not really necessary, but I really like doing it like that anymore. I guess it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks.
But you can also schedule messages. So that would be a new trick for you.
Yeah, it's the one
With
that I've tried to do, but I've failed. That's the thing. I really like pressing the button. The feeling of pressing the button is better for me than having the message ready and telling Slackbot, schedule it for 9 a.m. Have it. I think I've used it a couple of times, but not enough. I need to retrain myself for sure.
You can just build a button for you to press, Johnny, and just keep pressing.
That's an
what
awesome
you like.
integration that I'm sure has happened, like physical send message button. It's nice and red,
Yeah.
and you hit it.
Yeah. Yeah. Feature creeping into the physical world is also something we should be thinking.
Yeah, I'm sure that has happened in quite a few companies. Something that you can press a button, you trigger the deployment, or you promote from sales into production, and that also sends a Slack message saying that we're going to release, or maybe even a countdown in Slack that says we're going to promote to production in 5, 4, 3. Like press here to cancel it if it soon be done.
Yeah. And we built that in Scripty, remember?
So I kind of remember that was for incoming messages. If you had an incoming message, then you actually heard the bell go off.
So we integrated with the Arduino particle IO thing, and we had this chat system that hotels would receive messages from guests via their website. We built just one version of it. It was just a prototype, right? It was not live in any hotel, but if anyone would get like an important message, the idea was get an important message from a guest online, someone that just wants to make a reservation, and it would just ring the bell.
That was awesome. The problem we're trying to solve was that sometimes the hoteliers that were using this app that we've built, this chat messaging app, or the concierge staff, they would miss messages because they'd be on another window or they've closed Chrome or whatever else. And the solution would be you have a physical bell right on your desk that you can't help but hear. So when it goes off, you're like, oh, let's check into the messaging portal. Someone wants to make a reservation. You shouldn't be missing this.
It was just yet another way to annoy the reservation manager of the hotel, cause burnout.
Yeah, I guess if it leads to a conversion, they'll be happy. But if it leads to someone just wanting to get a better deal and be like, no, I'll actually book in Expedia because I found a better price. then that would be annoying for sure.
Yeah, imagine that.
All right. So are we done feature creeping?
I have one more feature creep, like it's the Black Mirror stuff, right?
Oh,
I always wait
unticked.
to the end.
We've missed that for the bingo. Please go.
Yeah, exactly. That's AR as well that I missed for the bingo, but I couldn't think of any AR feature. But yeah, the Black Mirror stuff is another one that's definitely not going to happen. But let's say you're in your team channel and you're about to make a decision and you're in a async communication in Slack through messages saying like, I know, let's release this button this way. And everyone's agreeing, yeah, definitely release. I'm just going to press the button now, deploy to production. And then Slack is reading that. Some AI is reading that and then stops you. No, if you do that now, that's going to break some other people's systems that's currently deploying or something. Just intercept company's mistake. Just read through all the communication and avoid mistakes and miscommunication. So maybe someone understood something wrong from another channel and then is talking in a third channel about that topic. And then you just intercept that. It's like, oh no, that actually you misunderstood because what they actually said was that. So, and just avoid mistakes all over it.
I love the idea. Easy to sell. Like eliminate crossed wires with Slack interceptor, Slack context analyzer. I love it. I'm sure it's almost impossible to build nowadays because AI systems already have a hard time understanding context. And if even humans can get their wires crossed, it feels like it can be hard for a system like that to understand what's happening. And it would need to know every conversation that has happened because sometimes it will be, I ran into João on the way to the coffee shop and that actually they changed their thing and it's not going to cause any problem. Or that's what we actually want to release. And Slack won't know that because it happened off the air, or maybe it happened in a Google Meet if you're working remotely. So if you have everything in Slack, it would already be hard to do, but possible. But people don't have everything in Slack. They use other tools to communicate. So maybe it was like an email or something in Figma, like you need to have the Figma integration in or something like that to be able to corroborate that this is the design that you want to put out and not that one that you're trying to push production then. It's an amazing idea, like definitely would make them billions. But it is one of the hardest one to crack, I think, that we've said so far.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's more science fiction. So I would say it's possible that we get to that. And I think with some adjustments to, let's say you're talking about a given context of deployment to that specific app to production, and then you can create some data structure to access that context in your AI structure instead of having to hold all the context in just one AI bot, massive AI bot. You can have like different context bots. There are ways to optimize that, but I agree with all your points that it may be hard to nearly impossible to implement it.
Yeah,
But
the information capture is going to be tricky. But if we are in a Black Mirror episode, like you said, then it would be, I'm wearing this thing or I have my phone and it captures everything anyway. So if you have all the information, for sure, you can make an AI interceptor that avoids cross wires. But in the real world, as far as we know, not everything is getting recorded in Slack.
But as so many things do with AI features, they don't start as opinionated. They just start as a suggestion. So maybe something that could start as like, you may be making a mistake here. Are you sure? So something that just should help you with that. And that reminds me, this whole idea reminds me a bit of Minority Report movie with like these people predicting the future and trying to avoid crimes all over. But that is lots more fiction than what we've been talking about.
We can make it a bit more fun as well and go the other way of the burnout. We can say that the Slack bot comes up and says, I see you haven't been taking any coffee breaks and you've been on Slack for like 6 hours straight. And that will lead you deploy into production bad code on Friday night. So please do take a break now. You must action this. Or we're giving you emergency leave to go home and chill because you're going to make a mistake in the future. So not as grim as Minority Report, where you get chilled up or killed, but our fun spin on the same thing. The AI predicts what you're going to do in the future and tries to make you a better engineer or colleague as a result.
Yeah, I think there's something in there, definitely, on the like future prediction with AI, avoiding mistakes. I feel like we're going to revisit that idea in future creeps episodes. Yeah, for sure.
So Slack, like everybody else, is trying to integrate more with such LLMs. And it feels like they will soon have an autocomplete where I go into the DMs and they show a suggestion of what I'm probably going to say. And at some point, it does become a Black Mirror episode because you're like, why am I even here? Why am I clicking the buttons? It knows that I'm going to say exactly that. And that was indeed what I was going to say. So let's have it send that message automatically. And then you have an existential crisis of just AI is talking to each other. And I'm not really needed anymore.
Yeah, the LLMs and conversational features of the current AI models are pretty useful on Slack. There are a lot of things that can be automated that way, but it will just change a bit the way people use Slack, I would say.
Yeah, you can see it
Absolutely.
as everyone having their own secretary, and then the secretaries are talking to each other and are taking that load off of us. But sometimes you want to talk to the real person for some reason, but maybe not. Maybe that's my human element trying to convince itself that it is necessary. And not really, like Slack communications, the AI will take them better for you. Your special sauce is doing the code or doing the presentations and doing something else. So just chill, let the AI handle everything else in the Slack world, and you can do your special sauce.
But the secretary is definitely something that's coming into apps. I've seen products trying to do that, which is basically that automated email that you go on holiday and someone sends you an email with an important question, but your AI secretary tries to answer the question and says you're on holiday. So you can leave a bunch of documents, paste a bunch of documents, or paste a bunch of context to this secretary, and then it will just answer the holiday emails with more useful things than just talk to Laura.
Yeah, for sure. I think I've talked to you about this because I did build it on like a train to Munster while I was working at Triplease. But I called it Digital Auto Response Tool. Maybe we worked at some point together as well, Dart. But pretty much it would create your persona, your avatar, your AI avatar. You'd fill in information of what Johnny knows and what Johnny replies with in some simple questions. And then it would answer for you. I think we elaborated on that idea at some point. So you'd have the version of you that is available while you're on vacation, while you're on the train, when you're otherwise unavailable.
I think we thought about that before, and we tried doing that with IBM Watson.
This is why
Just
ideas
didn't
should
have
be
enough
free,
traction.
because very often,
Yeah.
like the ideas, you can have them anytime, and we happen to have ideas that become successes. But it's not that the idea itself is a guaranteed success. It's that people worked hard and made it a reality and started to market it and publish it. That makes it a success.
Oh, absolutely. The big difference between ideas and execution, as we know.
For sure. All right. So of the ideas, the feature creeps that we said today, what do you think would win? Like if we go to the Slack board and say, we want to implement this, I want to implement the Summariser, or let's say the Huddle preview. So in any Huddle, you can have an automated summary of what's happening in the Huddle right now, versus you can pick any idea that you spoke about earlier. Which one do you want?
Yeah, I think the Huddle one is quite of a small feature in a way, given the tools we have available at the moment. So that could be easily prioritized. But I also like, and I think I would slightly prefer to pitch that one, is the Algorithmic Slack, the way to show people things that they may be missing out based on the previous interactions, reactions, or things they read and written on Slack from other channels. I think that could be coming soon, if not already there.
Yeah, I think you win the day this time. So that's the expansion of you may like this channel and not like this channel anymore. You may actually like this message. You mentioned it, Slack, but TikTok algorithm, something like that was the headliner. You go to the board and you say Slack, but with a TikTok algorithm.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. I think they would like that. They would buy it.
They'd love it. They go crazy. That starts like giving you the text.
Yeah. It's series. It goes series A, B, C, D, series alphabet.
Series Omega and beyond. Cool.
Yeah.
So should we do a quick tour of the new and noteworthy Slack bots that exist?
Let's go. So
Let's
let's
have
have a
a
look. Let's just pick some random ones, maybe.
yeah, Figma, we know that one. Canva, Typeform, that doesn't seem like new and random ones. It is sorted by popularity, so I'm not sure. Clockwise, about calendar management and that sort of thing. Update sales for right from Slack. Like, I don't know which one to click because they all look. All right, Pupster. Here we go. Pupster makes Slack a more pup-friendly workplace. Make profiles for your team's dogs. Tag photos, play games, have fun. How
That's
do
a
you
good
think
one.
about that one?
Yeah, I think it's again the human aspect of Slack, right? It's like it makes the social side of work also good. So I like it. Thinking about the other social apps that are used for Slack, like Donut, I think it's a famous one. It's probably one of the top Slack apps. Where every week you receive a donut, and this donut means you have to schedule a meeting with someone that you haven't talked to before in that specific channel. So it's just to have like coffee breaks and coffee conversations with people.
Interesting. It's definitely popular, but I've seen similar bots that were named Donut that were supposed to bring two team members that haven't talked together into a meeting. But I like the idea of Donut. It's like you're sharing a donut or something like that. I like this name more.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's like tacos as well as donuts. There's like, hey taco is something you can give tacos to people as a kudos for something they've done.
Nice.
Food related apps are good. Also puppy related apps are good.
Expenses. Track your expenses.
Boring.
Whocan for a toucan. It has a toucan as the hero avatar. And here it says it can help you find experts within this Slack workspace to help you with problems. So you
I
can
like
say,
that. Yeah.
who can help me with the design of a presentation? And then I assume it will tell you, oh, it's like Johnny can do this or João can do this.
That is pretty good. That is feature creep and powerful thing that can be done with AI.
And it looks like it even goes into DMs and other people and says, not the name of the person, but someone wants to write a presentation. Can you help? Are you an expert? And then it will select you with the name of the volunteer.
That's good. Can you open their website and
Sure.
creep further?
The answer is no.
No, you can. Like it. That's a fake door right there.
So maybe they've made the Slack post, but they didn't make the marketing page, unfortunately.
It happens. But that's good. You have to start somewhere and prioritize things.
Oh, interesting. So the problem
There you
is
go.
that they have the www that doesn't redirect to the non-dub domain, if you can't see where I've went. So without the dub prefix, which is what they've linked into that other button, they actually have a site that you
Awesome.
can. And they're even doing the typewriter effect that I've shown how to do in React and Svelte. So they must
There you
be what's in my YouTube videos as well.
For sure.
So they get my
Who
upvote
isn't?
for sure.
Yeah. It looks real. It looks like a
And a
there
Discord
you go.
bot.
If you click on it, isn't it real? See? Uh-huh.
It's a private beta. So it looks like. I love that. We should talk about Typeform at some point because
Yeah,
we have a lot of say, I'm sure. So yeah, that's a cool one.
right.
That's a winner for sure. Pinboard. A shared pin for your workspace. You can see all the pins. I thought that'd be the feature that you informed me about before we started recording live, which Slack has. What did you call it again? Slack Canvas?
Canvas. Yeah, I think that's it. That's pretty similar to what it is, what Pinboard is. So Slack Canvas is something they recently released to create a shared board of useful information about a channel. So you can share like links or documents, messages. Quite powerful.
Right. I thought it opened up like a big window that would be like a court board. Like if you've seen most detective thrillers, then at some point the main investigator would have a court board that would have pictures of like victims and suspects and then threads to put them all together. Because sometimes that's what you need to get your job done in a startup. You need to be like, oh, we want this feature, but we need to talk to this team and the backend is over there, but the front end is over there and the stakeholder is over there. And you need to connect the dots and put all those messages together. So I thought it'd be something like that. It's not as visual, but it seems like it can help you organize the people and the messages here.
It seems like in Slack Notion.
Yeah, how it looks, it actually looks a lot like Notion here, but it does like multi-columns, which I don't think Slack does unless you integrate the Kanban boards and the databases and that sort of thing. It has a great system. Cool. All right. I think we're going to call it an episode at this point, unless you have objections.
No objections. This been great. It's been great to talk about Slack. I think it's something that we heavily use and like. But yeah, great episode. Thanks a lot, Jenny.
Thank you very much for joining me. Any other parting words about Slack, about life, about anything?
Nothing really, except that maybe people want to know where they can find you, Jenny. what is the best way to find you?
Of course, like usual nowadays, search for YouTube for Johnny and Svelte, and you'll find something. Maybe Johnny and React. Find the typewriter component that Whocan is using as well. Learn how to do it if you're an engineer, or just look at some videos that may tell you more about SEO and performance and having fun with CSS and messages and that sort of thing. How about you, João? Where can people find you?
Yeah, you can go into jvmartins.com and you can see some of my contact links and inventions, things I've done, and a bit of my experience in there. You can make the character jump, which is me in pixel art, as Johnny feature creeped into my website.
Obvious feature that I'm sure you've thought about it before, but I gave you the push to actually push it to production.
That was great.
Awesome. So we'll catch everyone next week in the next episode. Do suggest in the comments what you'd like us to cover. We always have a lot of suggestions and ideas on what we may do next, but we are keen to listen to your feedback and improve even further and talk about the things that you love. Otherwise, a lovely day from me, Johnny and João, and goodbye to all.
Bye. Thank you very much.